Now Glendora is listing the victories off of page 111 on the affirmation in support of her motion for a new trial. Since they didn't refute these things, Glendora wins on them. They didn't refute that a lawyer is not licensed by the state of New York. A doctor has to be licensed by the state, but a lawyer isn't. All a lawyer has is a union card from a vicious union called the American Bar Association. It's nothing but a trade union. They do not have a license to practice in the state of New York. They did not refute that any citizen of the United States, or any person of the United States who accepts the title of nobility, in this case they're called esquires, is no longer a citizen of the United States. So all you lawyers and all you judges, you've got to be deported because you accepted a nobility title, and that doesn't go in the United States. You are no longer a citizen of the United States. They didn't refute Glendora's claim that they didn't have a backbone and therefore couldn't go to chiropractors. They didn't refute that Hansberry failed to take judicial notice, that Hansberry failed to list any papers read. I don't think he read anything. To this day, I don't think he reads. And that his record shows that. They did not refute Glendora's claim that they committed consumer fraud upon Glendora. They took her money and they didn't do what the money said they should do, which was justice in a fair trial. That they committed fraud upon the courts, that they committed fraud upon America, no dispute. Then Glendora wants her money back, and that ignorant lawyering is a fact, and shoddy workmanship is a fact, and Hansberry is being led around by an intern, a novice, and that Glendora has a case against Hansberry for ignorant judgmentship and shoddy judgmentship. And that Glendora was bullied. And we're up to page 128 of Glendora's motion for a new trial. That was a paper before this one. And Jasper, in her opposition to the motion for a new trial, did not oppose any of these points. Therefore, Glendora is victorious on them. That Jasper's failure to disclose her firm, her address, and her telephone number, and that no clerks were present at the trial, and that the motion practice was illegal. And how does one get Hansberry attention? He doesn't listen to you in court, and he won't read the papers that you write. What do you do with a kid like that? And that Glendora did not understand what was happening in the Hansberry court, and that is an automatic win on appeal. If you go into the appeals court and say, I don't understand what happened in the trial court, well, that's an automatic win. It has to go back. You have to understand what's going on. And that Jasper said to Hansberry, you told me I did not have to do that. Well, when did Jasper do that? And Hansberry do that? They did it before trial, and they did it ex parte. And all of my monitors heard this, and it's on the CD, and Glendora heard it. And that Hansberry has no finesse at all. He did not rule on the merits, and Glendora did not get substantial justice. Now, I want to read to you the definition of fraud, because I want you to be aware of it, that this may happen to you. That a fraud is an intentional perversion of the truth for the purpose of inducing another, upon reliance upon you, to part with some valuable thing belonging to him, or to surrender a legal right. A fraud is a false representation of a matter of fact, whether by words or by conduct, by false or misleading statements, or an concealment of that which should have been disclosed, which deceives We ran out of battery right in the middle of my teaching you what fraud is to protect yourself. whether by words or by conduct, by false or misleading allegations, or a concealment of that which should have been disclosed, which deceives and is intended to deceive another, so that he shall act upon it to his legal injury. Beware. All of these people, Hansberry, Jasper, Satterley, Stevens, Jerk and Jerk, Sarrock, and a better Cecilia, committed fraud. Okay. Z is reserved. Jasper failed to serve all parties. She did not defend Satterley, Stevens, Burke and Burke, a defendant. She did not serve Sarrock. She did not serve Mastrovilli. Because you remember, a defendant cannot represent a co-defendant. She obfuscated whom she was representing, together with Carmody weight proof was totally lacking of her authority to represent anybody. Her paper is null and void. It is all baby talk, pablum, and well, that's enough. Now listen, when you go to federal court, you pay a fee of $250. That's it. You go to state Supreme Court, New York State, you pay a filing fee of $140, I think it is. Then you have to buy a judge. You have to do a request for judicial intervention, RJI, and I think that costs something like $990. And then you have to pay $40 for every motion. We just talked about what fraud is. That's a scam. When you pay your filing fee, everything else should come as a package. So it augurs very well for you people, Hansberry, Jasper, Satterley, Sarrock, Cecilia, Mastrovilli, and the appellate judges, Rudolph, Tannenbaum, McCabe, Littman, Angelillo, LaCava. It augurs well that you will be sued in federal court instead of state Supreme Court. State courts are about 10 years behind federal courts in procedure, and also the federal rules of civil procedure are much stronger on discovery, rules 26 to 37. Well, we're up to the a fortiori. Wherefore, therefore, and ergo, with greater force and all the more, it is even more certain and necessary that Glendora be granted a new trial pursuant to civil practice laws and rules 4,404 Bowlegs B, together with costs and all further relief just and proper, and under penalty of perjury, Glendora cheerfully affirms that she has told the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help her God. In this Herculean Atlas fight for right, Jasper has not, Hansberry has not, Satterley has not, Sarrock has not, and Cecilia said nothing. Further, Glendora served the within 54 pages, and I left that blank by mistake, upon Satterley, defendant, and upon Sarrock, defendant, and upon Mastrovilli, defendant, by U.S. First Class Mail on March the 27th, Tuesday, and I left that out by mistake, I apologize. 2004, it says it was 2007. Anno Domini. And she served it upon all the people I told you, and upon you, the most important, the TV audience, and upon www.achatwithglendora.com and www.youtube.com/achatwithglendora, one word. And she sent Hansberry his own copy, and she said the clerk of the court, the original, had to go to the clerk of the court, Mr. Paul Freedom, the Small Claims Court clerk. Yours in truth, in Amor Patriae, and in Amor New Yorki, love of one's country and love of New York, Glendora, without prejudice, under the Uniform Commercial Code, Article 1, Section 207. And this is Opus 1472, 16 3/4 hours to write, do the envelopes, print, and post. Its internet number circa, and I'll see how close we get, 4,574, the 4th edition, through 4,578, the 8th edition. And here is the prayer that's included for all of us, folks. It is Galatians 5, walk in the Spirit. All of us walk in the Spirit. For the fruits of the flesh are adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lewdness, idolatry, sorcery, hatred, contentions, jealousies, outbursts of wrath, selfish ambitions, dissensions, heresies, envy, murders, drunkenness, revelries, and the like. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, and peace. I pray that ardently for all of us. Kindness, faithfulness, live in the Spirit and walk in the Spirit. And that completes the paper. We keep running out of tape. We keep running out of batteries. And we must rejoice because it is 2:40, so we'll rejoice at 2:30. This magnificent blue sky that these jets are trying to ruin and they're not able to. It's just too strong today, the sunlight and the blue sky, and it's sort of azure blue. We rejoice for that pine tree over there, a magnificent creation of God. We rejoice for the technology, although it is moving too fast. We rejoice that there's something inside of us that responds to music. That something inside of us always responds to laughter. And I've got to stop using my Sony Mini DV cam recorder, the second one and the first one, because it keeps talking about icons and you're to have no other gods before you. And did you hear what the bank robber said to the bank teller? One peep out of you and your geography. And she says, don't you mean history? And he says, don't change the subject. And as a little girl, I used to worry about my pigeon toes. Now I have to worry about the crow's feet. And the little boy's in back of the church, and he says, what are all these names on the wall? And the priest says, those are the names of our people who died in the service. And the little boy says, which service? 8:30, 9:30, 10:30? And why was the dumb judge staring at the orange juice? Because it said concentrate. Minister said, the first hand up gets to pick the first 3 hymns. And the old maid was the first hand up, and she says, I pick him, and him, and him. The minister took his car to the mechanic to be repaired, and when he went back, the bill was $1,000, and the minister says, $1,000, I can't afford that, I'm just a poor preacher. And the mechanic says, yes, I attended your service last Sunday. Did you know the Pope caught the bird flu? He got it from his cardinals. I took a priest out to lunch and a minister. They were 2 young men who had given their lives to God, and I thought they would like to know each other. And the priest came in his clerical collar and wearing his black short-sleeved shirt, and this was November 13th, and as he walks out of the Kinderhook post office, a woman goes, ah, because he wasn't wearing a jacket. And he said to her, I have a constitutional right to bear arms. I think that we have a constitutional right to arm bears and arm deer. It is not a fair fight. It is very unmanly. It is very uncowardly. It's very cowardly. And What do you get when you cross an owl with a goat? A hootenanny. What do you get when you cross a stream and a brook? Wet feet.
TV fans want to see it. Yeah. Show your TV fans your nice face. Yeah. Oh, yes, what a nice face.
I think God loves cats, folks. God makes so many different varieties of cats. Mountain lions and puma lions and bobcats and leopards and tigers and cheetahs, other than the ones in the courts. Well, my neighbor came for me at 2:40. The appointed hour, and we went out together and did a few things, and then we came back around 5:45, and I thank her. I thank you, God, for giving me such a nice neighbor. And I guess I was in the middle of telling you jokes. Two men were stranded on an island, and one was frantic that nobody was going to rescue them. The other one was very calm. And the frantic one is pacing up and down. And he says to the calm man, "How do you know somebody's going to rescue us? You know, why are you so calm?" And the calm man said, "I make $80,000 a year, and I know my pastor is going to find me." Now God made Adam, right? And he looked him all over, from head to toe. And he looked at him at the back, and he looked at him at the front. Then he says, God said, "I can do better than that." So that's when he made woman. Anthony says that money talks. And right now, his is saying goodbye. Sebastian, who's lying here on the desk, I called my neighbor one morning around 9 o'clock, and a few minutes later Sebastian jumps up on the desk. He walks over my paper, and then he walks over the telephone pad, and he hits the redial button, and the next thing I hear is my neighbor saying, "Hello?"